Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Sunday, the 29th of September 2024. In today's Millwall news, we start off with this piece from the South London Press, London News Online, which is a thing that they're doing now. I think instead of a match report, it's the Lowdown. So basically a TLDR for the match. The Lowdown on Millwall 3, Preston 1, Honeyman's sweet moment as Lions bully North End at the Den. Mill extended their unbeaten league run against Preston North End to 11 matches as they won 3-1 at the Den on Saturday afternoon. Here is the lowdown on the match. And there's a starting lineup. So there was a problem with the match report on the official website yesterday. It didn't have the subs properly. So the subs were actually McNamara on for 76 minutes, Wallace on for Honeyman in the 91st minute, Imaku on for Esse in the 77th minute, Wintle on for Watmore in the 68th minute, and Ivanovic on for Langstaff in the 67th minute. So that was the actual substitutes that were made. It's a snapshot of the game. This was an emphatic Millwall victory. The headline news is that Macaulay Langstaff is off the mark in a Lions shirt, with George Honeyman also netting his first goal of the season. Both assisted the other, with Romain Esse Cooley going past Freddie Woodman, sandwiched between those two other finishes. Preston boss Paul Heckingbottom had made 3 substitutions by the 57th minute, including 2 at the start of the second period, which told you everything you needed to know about just how second best they were. Jordan Story did manage a consolation for North End, but they only really had any kind of foothold. Once the South Londoners had built up a commanding 3-0 lead. Yeah, and that was to do with the substitutions, really, which we understood. Like, going back in the day to the previous Neil Harris managerial stint, this is what he would do, is when we went 1-0 up, he would bring on subs to defend and tell everyone to sit back, and guess what happened? We conceded more often than not, and that was not, in my opinion, a clever thing to do, because there was a classic idiom. Attack is the best form of defense. If you are attacking your opponent, they cannot be attacking you. So there you go. Tactical approach, graft and guile from Millwall, a commendable work rate and also aggression that was channeled in the right fashion to bully their opponents, aside from Maku's silly red card towards the end of the contest. The front four of Langstaff, Honeyman, Esse and Duncan Watmore, who also got an assist, were too much of a handful for a poor Preston side. Casper Denor also crashed a first-time volley off the bar, and Woodman made a reaction save to deny Mihailo Ivanovic. Star man George Honeyman, and not just for his goal and his assist, his general all-round play has been excellent this season. Hard to dispute, not that I want to. The claim by Millwall head coach Neil Harris that the roving number 10 has been their best player in the opening 2 months of the campaign. Failed to convert a big opportunity at QPR last weekend, but made no mistake when offered a similar kind of chance in SC16 today. Bosh! Hello, governor! Best moment, Romain Esse's 3rd goal of the season. Confidence is key for any player, but especially when you are a younger one. Harris even had the luxury of bringing off Esse, Watmore, Langstaff and Ryan Leonard so they could get more recovery time before Tuesday's trip to struggling Cardiff City. Moan of the match, Adoma Maku's red card, initially booked for a dive but then was dismissed by referee Darren Bond after being provoked by Robbie Brady and reacting aggressively. Brady could just as easily have been booked for his part in the incident, but he wasn't. Maku has struggled for minutes and now faces a suspension. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? We mentioned before, and I think it's been confirmed, we're going to look at the stats at the end of the video, that it was 1 yellow card and then a straight red card. Because of the way it's listed, it wasn't a yellow card, then a yellow card, then a red card. Obviously, kind of hard to see where I was sitting in block 1. I generally sit in block 1, which is at the other end, west upper, at the other end, near the away fans. And this happened all the way down the other side, so I couldn't really see. But watching on the highlights, obviously they edit it and they clip it, so you don't really know what was seen. But it looked like he pulled out the yellow card straight away, and then after all the funny business, he pulled out the red card. A talking point down the pub. The possibility of new deals for George Honeyman and Duncan Watmore, both for free agents at the end of June, unless there is any kind of automatic trigger that I'm not aware of. Both are in strong negotiation positions. Director of Football Steve Gallen did an in-house interview with Mill TV recently in which he talked about one of his key tasks since being appointed in the summer is to lower the average age of the squad, hence the signings of Daniel Kelly, Femi Aziz and Mihailo Ivanovic, but it was still largely an experienced side which got the job done very competently against Preston. And yeah, you need that as well. You need that experience. You need those players who've been there and done that can handle the situation at the end of the game. With Robbie Brady, for example. If that was probably Obafemi, he probably would have made more of the fact that he got kicked. So he wouldn't have just jumped up and bumped chests with the guy. So if someone kicks you, you've got to use that to your advantage. Not like if you want to kick them back, wait till you're in a tunnel and then fucking when no one's watching, just swing an elbow in his face. Who's going to say anything? You got to do it like that. What the boss had to say. I'm delighted with the way we played. We dominated the first half. We could have handled the final 10-ish minutes better, which only ended up with a red card and a goal conceded. But I'm really happy. And I'm happy too. How about you? Are you happy watching this? You happy? Yeah. I'll tell you who isn't happy. The Preston North End boss. Second boss that they've had of the season. The first one, I think he quit before. Did he quit after the first game? At the end of the first game, he quit. So yeah, this is from LondonNewsOnline.co.uk. The South London Press. Preston North End boss. Millwall deserved the championship victory. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Yes, we did. The manager admitted that his side deserved nothing in yesterday's 3-1 defeat at Millwall. The Lions went into a 3-0 early lead. Yeah, we know all that. Oh, we got what we deserve, really, said Heckingbottom. Starting like that, we were really slow to start, and Millwall imposed their style of play on us. Their first goal, as poor as it was on our part, we'd spoken so much about their set plays and threat, and you can't always stop Jay Cooper, heading the ball, but more often than not, it is whoever he heads it down to in the area that's the danger. And we spoke about that a lot. You can see that goal was really poor on our part, but it was coming. They had already hit the bar and we'd had a few warnings, and I felt that shook us into life. And we had a couple of good moments after that. Then the second goal, it's a counter attack from our set play, and you go 2-0 down. It's difficult, especially here, because then Millwall can sit in and deny the space. I made the changes at half time and we created a good chance, and then 60 seconds later you're 3-0 down again. We're being out competed. Joe Bryan just steams through our players. And Millwall got the points today and they deserved it. And if you're out competed, out for, and you're not going to win football matches for 46 minutes, that was the case. I mentioned yesterday about Preston trying to play offside in their own area. You don't do that. You man mark and you block the ball. When you block what the person on the ball can do with the ball, wherever he can play it to, and you play the ball. You don't play offsides in your own half. That's a very stupid thing to do, especially when you're sitting so deep. Now we're going to move on to this, which popped up. It's from the New York Times, which is nytimes.com. It's /The Athletic, which I guess is a New York Times property. I didn't know that. So they've got this story, and we're mentioned in it because of the game last week. And I think it's very telling that both of our wins have been at home, and they've been at 3 o'clock kickoffs. I don't think that's a coincidence, and a couple of players have looked a bit ropey in the 12:30 kickoffs, namely Joe Bryan. And is that how far does he have to travel in on match days? What time does he have to wake up then? Things like that. You have to work out a way and a system of dealing with it, because it's going to be happening a hell of a lot this season. And whoever can do that is going to thrive, because this is, especially if we start we scoring all these goals, we're playing well. That looks good on Sky. Sky want to put us on TV more, and for some reason They told us the games were going to be Friday nights, Monday nights, Sunday nights, some Saturday nights, some Saturday at 5:30, some Sunday at 5:30 as well. And what's happened? Nearly all of the championship games are on Saturday at 12:30. You've got multiple, not just one. You've got 3 or 4 at the same time on Saturday at 12:30, which they didn't tell us that was what they would be happening. The impression they gave is that they would be spread across. But, So let's have a read of this. English football's 3 p.m. kickoff is dying. Does anyone care? Well, I think we care. It's just the people who make the decisions and with the money men, they don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. At 3 o'clock on Saturdays, we know who we are, where we belong, and where we should be, even when we aren't, wrote Daniel Gray, the author and historian, in his 2016 book, Saturday 3 p.m. 50 Eternal Delights of Modern Football. Gray calls that sacred point in the English week football time, the opportunity for hundreds of thousands to escape the humdrum and stresses of everyday life and find a fleeting, common sanctuary. What a privilege that is, he concludes. Saturday afternoons remain the time when English football's heart beats fastest, the historic home for a national obsession, but their relevance is dwindling. According to Hopta, just 128 of Premier League's 380 games, a third, kicked off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday last season, and the pattern will extend. Today, only 5 fixtures begin at 3 p.m. Next week is the same story. So this has obviously been going on a while for the Premier League. It's become a joke with the Premier League that your Saturday 3 p.m. is just dead in the water. It's more often than not that it's actually, they say here, literally a third. So 2/3 didn't kick off on 3 p.m. on a Saturday. But here's the thing. The EFL 2 is playing fewer games than ever before in the traditional slot. It's the new TV deal. The first half of this championship season will see only 37% of games kicking off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday under the terms of a new domestic TV deal, down sharply from 53% last season. Leagues 1 and Leagues 2 are also bowing to an evolution that will be televised. And here's the thing. How do you end that? How do you fix this? How do you restore Saturday at 3 p.m.? You get rid of them. You get rid of the blackout. So what could happen if they do this? They've been calls to do this for a long, long time. Is you move the games back to Saturday 3 p.m. and then you let them be on TV. Maybe you have some kind of NFL red zone situation, which I'm watching now with the sound muted, where you can have all the games on and you can show the goals as they go in, and you can do that kind of thing. And then, obviously, the reason why they don't do that is because games lower down in non-leagues will be affected. So then, you move the non-league games. You just move them to 12:30 kickoffs, which it's unfortunate, but they get 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. Why are we protecting Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs for them? So thousands of people are losing Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs for the non-league game to try and protect it. Why don't we have Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs and show it on TV, and then you can move the non-league games to 12:30? And they do this with England games. Whenever there's an England game live on TV on a 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday, the non-league teams, they'll kick off their games early, and you know what they'll do? After their game's finished, the bar's open, people can watch the England game in the bar, and they can do the same with the Premier League games and the EFL games. That's, if that's what it's got to be, that's what it's got to be. Because this is, it's getting ridiculous now in terms of how many people are being affected by this. The EFL maintain that 70% of their matches remain at 3 p.m. on a regular weekend, but modernity is gradually swallowing tradition. Football's dependence on broadcast revenues means ground is given to those who deliver enormous sums and still shackled by a TV blackout dating back to the 1960s. The only option is to move games away from 3 p.m. on a Saturday. A record of 1,094 live games will be televised to a domestic audience from England's football tier top 4 divisions this season. Bliss for the armchair support in the UK. You can now watch football from Friday night to Saturday evening, almost uninterrupted most weekends, but less so for those fans travelling the length and breadth of the country every week. Football's advancement cares little for nostalgia, but does a kick-off time really still matter to those supporters? Saturday lunchtime, a few games will be bigger for Sunderland this season than the visit of local rivals Middlesbrough. There are half a dozen police riot vans flanking the St Peters metro station where visiting fans arrive, and eventually there will be 42,781 supporters who click through the Stadium of Lights turnstiles. Most head back into a mild afternoon in high spirits after a 1-0 victory, but it is another home game shifted from 3 p.m. Just one of Sunderland's home games has kicked off in the traditional slot this season, and the next will not come until Oxford United visit on October the 26th. Middlesbrough, meanwhile, have had 4 of their 6 championship games this season moved to 12:30 on a Saturday. Gray, whose words began this article, is a Middlesbrough season ticket holder. Well, there's history and culture behind the 3 p.m. kickoffs, but it's also the perfect time of day for a football match, he tells The Athletic. The chance to do things in the morning, see family, travel to the game, and then relax into it. Football fans will always adjust to it, but it doesn't make it right. As a fan experience, the 12:30 games change everything. It's all a rush, especially if you're travelling away or coming from a long distance for home games. You don't enjoy the rituals as much, and it really impacts the atmosphere. On a very basic level, not as many people have had a chance to go for a pint. Unscientifically, I would say it also shows in the performances. The football can be gloopier and slow, as if the players haven't quite woken up either. Exactly. Mickey Lough, a Sunderland season ticket holder, agrees. Our fan base is coming from East Durham, County Durham, and even Northumberland, he says. For fans like that, it has a huge impact. It's not just on matchday rituals, but also from a purely logistical point of view. You might have children who play football on a Saturday morning. It becomes a nightmare getting to the game. Indeed. The atmosphere does suffer as well. We have 4 Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs at home from now through to January. We've got a New Year's Day game at home to Sheffield United kicking off at 8 p.m, which is just horrendous, when most people are back to work the next day. We're going to get to a point where, as decent value as our season tickets holders are, is it worth a fan's while getting one when there's so many games they'll have to rule out? And if some of your regulars stop coming, the atmosphere suffers again. English football has not arrived at that point yet. About half of the fixtures in the average Premier League round are moved from their original 3 p.m. Saturday slot, but its most recent annual report outlined that stadiums had run at 98.7% capacity during the 22-23 season. Demand for tickets outstrips supply, no matter how inconvenient a kick-off time might be. The Premier League's biggest clubs especially have grown familiar with alternative dates on Sundays and Mondays. Moves can come at unhelpfully short notice, but rearrangements are ultimately to satisfy a domestic TV deal that includes 5 preordained time slot packages: Saturday at 12:30, Saturday at 5:30, Sunday at 2 p.m, Sunday at 4:30, and Monday or Friday at 8 p.m, shared by UK broadcasters Sky Sports and TNT Sports. Those involved in the Europa League or Conference League on Thursday nights will always enjoy even fewer Saturday afternoon fixtures. West Ham United play just 7 of their 38 Premier League games at 3 p.m. on a Saturdays during the 22-23 season that concluded with them winning the Conference League final against Fiorentina. 7 out of 38. Holy shit. EFL clubs, though, are still acclimatising to their new norm. A 5-year deal struck with Sky in May saw the EFL commit to broadcasting over 1,000 games live every season in return for a total package worth £935 million. That represented a 50% rise on the value of the previous deal, but the kickback was that the number of games broadcast live would climb 7-fold. Damn. And there you go, there it is. Do you remember ITV Digital? Setanta, you remember all that? Look at that. Boom. Bosh. What a graph. Yeah, I love that old pie graph. What's that? That's a bar graph. The natural result, a huge drop-off in the number of EFL games kicking off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Between now and the 6th of January, just 37% of EFL Championship games will be played in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. Damn, bro. Look at that. The lowest it's ever been. And where's that from? That's from Game State UK on X, Twitter. Leeds United, with a fan base as big as any in the AFL, became TV regulars long ago. Of their 24 championship games through to New Year's Day, only 7 will kick off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. We don't really want to be on TV every week because it's a nuisance sometimes, says supporter John Ho. It can completely prevent some people from getting to games. It's an old argument, but the football fans who make the experience are the last to be thought about. Their loyalties are played upon. Most weekends now see one championship game on a Friday night. Yesterday saw Luton travel to Plymouth, a 500-mile round trip. 3 on a Saturday lunchtime and another on a Sunday afternoon. 2 games each from League 1 and League 2 also make the move to 12:30 on a Saturday. Among the fixtures played out in that slot already this season have been Burton Albion versus Stevenage, attended by 2,378 fans, and Accrington Stanley at home to Port Vale in front of 2,628. It is incredibly difficult to strike the right balance when it comes to traditional kickoff times and meeting the needs of modern broadcast deals, said Liam Scully, chief executive of Lincoln City, who had their last home game with Wigan Athletic moved to a Saturday lunchtime. We've got to respect it and acknowledge our history in football and culture, but also ensure we move with the times and remain relevant in their ever-increasing competitive sports and entertainment environment. Scully says there was unanimous support for the new TV deal from the EFL's 72 clubs, who will each benefit financially this season. Every championship club, for example, stands to make close to an additional $2 million in broadcast revenues. It remains too soon to know how big an impact playing on Saturday lunchtime will have on clubs, but early indications suggest crowds have fallen. So you're making more money from TV, but you are making less money from ticket sales and food sales and concession sales because less people are coming to your games. Does that matter? We'll find out. Of the 19 EFL games to have kicked off at 3 p.m. on Saturday so far this season, that had an exactly corresponding fixture in the same division last term, 16 were played in front of a smaller gate. So 19 EFL games to kick off at 3 p.m. on Saturday, 16 had fewer fans. QPR versus Millwall, for example, had 15,350 in attendance for a televised fixture last Saturday, yet the same fixture attracted 17,184 in February. So there you go. That is a lot. Now, they did give us less tickets this time. We could have, if they gave us more tickets, we could have sold them. They could have given us a hell of a lot more tickets than we would have sold them. Probably 3,000 we would have done. Every side has to work hard at attendances in general, from numbers through the turnstiles to match day experience, adds Scully. In our experience, it is wrong to determine how full terraces will be on the timing or broadcasting of a game alone, as so much goes into and around this number, and we work hard at various levels and departments to ensure that this is not the case. Will gains in TV money outweigh any lost revenue on the gate? I think it will be very one-dimensional of me to suggest any loss financially on an earlier kickoff would be outweighed by increased TV revenues when there are so many factors which go into attendance and viewership figures. I will say that the greater coverage is an opportunity for us to take Lincoln City to a broader audience, which we are incredibly excited about. Saturday afternoons has always been the comfiest fit for English football. What began as a fiercely working class game, football offered a consistent source of entertainment at a time when most people were free to attend. The 1850 Factory Act, passed in the UK Parliament to protect workers' rights, had outlined that a working week must end at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, leaving millions with time on their hands to hasten football's rise late in the 19th century. Factories, shipyards, docks and mines would empty out every Saturday, with many workers heading straight to the local football ground to replace work with pleasure. The 3 p.m. slot was also always favoured, but initially not sacrosanct. If you go back to the early days of football, the late 19th and early 20th centuries, kickoff times changed across the season because they didn't have floodlights, explains Dr. Alexander Thomas, curator of the National Football Museum in Manchester. I think football is older than electricity. Not in the pure sense, but in terms of the rollout of electricity in terms of powering things around the country. It's older than that. They typically didn't come until the 1950s, so you'd order your kickoff time to coincide with natural light. Kickoffs would move from 3 p.m. to 2:15 and then sometimes to 1:15, which was the earliest kickoff you'd get in the depths of winter. But that block of time on a Saturday afternoon was when the working man and woman could get away from, let's be real, women. How many women did you see in this photo? It was men. There's one woman right at the front, or there's two. One on the right hand side, one on the left hand side. Mostly men. Come on, let's be real. You had a lot of things coming together. More people moving from rural to urban areas, with a lot of town cities growing massively. Then it was a question of where people came together for leisure and finding that civic identity, the rituals of town life. You then found rhythms and traditions. The Saturday 3 p.m. slot became just that, once floodlights were improved by the Football League and in turn bred offshoots of tradition. The classified football results, the sports papers printed the same evening, all were synchronised. Generations of fans became conditioned. English football doggedly clung to its 3 p.m. rituals, even introducing a television blackout that instructed no live games could be broadcast between 2:45 and 5:25 p.m. The theory, pushed most forcefully by Burnley chairman Bob Lord in the early 1960s, was that TV alternative would damage attendances across all levels, and under Article 48 of UEFA's rules, a domestic league remains able to ring-fence a weekly 2.5-hour window prohibiting live football output. Its initial design was to protect the English football pyramid and its traditions, but in time the blackout is eroding one of them. The abolition of the blackout, something that has been considered in recent times at the top end of the game, may be the best hope of games gravitating back towards 3 p.m. I believe it's our job to look to the overall picture and consider what should and should not be done to ensure we have a healthy and thriving football pyramid in an evolving landscape, says Scully, and that will always and has to be the priority. The reality, though, is that the English game is now obliged to consider more than just match-going fans. Saturday's lunchtime games are prime-time viewing in East Asia, where Premier League's popularity is enormous. Night matches, meanwhile, carry appeal to fans in North and South America. The spread of games is now well established and necessary if gigantic TV revenues are to be maintained. The English game is parting with its traditions of time, but the 3 p.m. on a Saturday still represents something more. If you take football as a whole, the pyramid, then the majority are still 3 p.m. on a Saturday, says Gray. It does remain football time, even when we're being forced to go to those awful 12:30 games, which is the worst kick-off time of all. We're still consumed by football at 3 p.m. It just happens we change our matchday routines. Instead of a pre-match point, it's a post-match point, watching the 3 p.m s come in on a TV or on a phone. And there's something very important for life to have anchors like that, and a privilege of following football is having anchors like that. You have routine and a sense of belonging. I know that's an overly romantic way of seeing it, but most of us who turn up cynical as we might be are romantics, and I do feel the unity of football is lost when it's also sporadic and spaced out over 4 days. Progress with a price. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think we should get rid of the blackout and allow games to be broadcast at 3 p.m? And what would that do? Would that affect attendances, or would it not? Would it actually improve attendances? And like I said, should the non-league teams move their games to 12:30 to kick off, and then the rest of us can kick off at 3 p.m? Obviously, there's more. I think there's more non-league clubs than professional clubs, but there's more people probably that follow and go to the top 72. Maybe if you include the top, the National League in that as well, because half of them are pros. So, but we'll see. I don't know. It is annoying now. It's getting annoying that they're now doing it to the EFL and especially to the Championship. And our 2 wins have come at home at 3 p.m. kickoffs. There's no doubt about that. That's not a coincidence. Obviously, we have a short sample size and that we've only played 7 games so far. But it was, back in the day, 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday, and 70:45 midweek. That was it. That's it. And, you know, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think something has to be done. I don't know what's going to be done, though, because they've signed this deal. It's a 5-year deal. It is what it is. They haven't really gained any money. They've just transferred where they're getting the money from. They used to get the money from the fans. Now they're going to get the money from Sky via the fans sitting at home. But we go and see. It would be nice, obviously, because this is a streaming platform, Sky Sports Plus, and it's not a channel. I don't think we're going to get. I haven't checked yet. But I don't think we're going to get any figures for it. I don't think we're going to get any viewing figures. If we could get viewing figures and see, oh well, okay, that's how many people watched Mill's game that was on Sky Sports Plus. But I think because it's streaming that we won't get that. I could try looking for it, but like I said, I don't think it's going to be fine. So that's the end of the news. If you're not watching for the stats, thank you for watching. If you are, here we go. So this is obviously on a Sunday. We do the stats because there's not a lot of Millwall news going around. And I like looking at stats because I'm a weirdo. So here we go. This is the match report from WhoScored.com. Millwall created a high number of chances relative to their possession, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from long-shot situations, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from counter-attacks, and were strong at finishing. We were aggressive, we lost possession often, and we gave away a lot of free kicks around the box, which led to Preston's strength of creating effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from set pieces, and Preston stole the ball off them from the opposition. So, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see the top 5 rated players and the top 5 total shots, top 5 tacklers and the top 5 dribblers, and there's an awful lot of Millwall over there. Now coming down to Millwall on the left hand side, Preston on the right. The attempts 14-11, open play 8-6, set piece 4-5, counter attacks 2-0, and our 3 goals from our 14 shots is a conversion rate of 21%. That is extremely good. I think the best I've seen is around 30-32. So 21 is extremely good in a championship game. So very clinical. 21%. Their conversion rate was 9. 1 from 11, that's 9%. We were mostly going down the right hand side. Of course we were. Why not? Shot directions. Shot zones. Action zones. Player positions. Okay. Weird little thing going on there. I think that's probably to do with Preston. I'm looking at Preston. Weird little thing there. I think that's probably to do with their reorganisation at half time. Going to Millwall, that's a pretty solid formation there. Everyone's lined up in their place. Basically a 4-3-1-2 at times was like a 3-4-1-2 with Ryan Leonard bombing on a lot. So this is interesting. And you see that probably coincides with Joe Bryan having to do more defending the 40 and the 44 for Preston further forward than the number 16 for Preston. So Ryan Leonard moving forward. See Ryan Leonard and SA attacking down that side, meaning that Preston have to defend. As you can see, look, we were going down that right hand side, so that kept them back. But you see there, George Honeyman 39, Watmore 17, and SA 25 tucking into the middle. Oh, Langstaff is 17. Watmore's 19. So there you go. So obviously Watmore playing a bit further back, not scoring, but had an assist and an absolute amazing run from that counter-attack, which George Honeyman was involved as well. If you watch it back, from Romain S's goal comes from a defensive action. George Honeyman's header forward, their player heads it back, and then George Honeyman kicks it forward to over the top for Watmore to run onto, and Watmore just heads it down in front of him, takes a couple of touches, or doesn't take a touch first. He kind of shimmies his body to the side and lets it run in front of him. then takes a touch, then sees SA running through, and then puts a beautiful ball through for SA to run onto. So Duncan Watmore, absolutely amazing yesterday as well. So yeah, there's that. So now we're going to move on to this, also from whoscored.com. Here are the match events, and as you can see, as mentioned before, so yellow cards. We've got Haydamo Makus, yellow card, and then it's got red card. If it was a second yellow card, the second line would have a yellow card there and then a red card next to it. This isn't. This is yellow and then red, not yellow and then yellow and then red. So I'm pretty sure they got a straight red card. You see, they made the change at half time. See, they were 2-0 down. They had to do something. We score straight away in the second half. Lovely stuff. And you can see all these players, the front players, playing together, working off of each other. Langstaff assisting Honeyman, Watmore assisting SA, and then Honeyman assisting Langstaff. If we go down and we look here, we can see, if you look at the top left and top right where the club badges are, you've got 6.82 average player rating for Millwall and 6.38 average player rating for Preston. That's not that big of a difference, really, in terms of how easy that was a win. Really, like, it could have been a lot more. It's 0.5-ish, just over under. I imagine that's probably because, yeah, Maku got 4.7 and he dragged the average down. But they've given the highest rated player to George Honeyman, 8.0, Langstaff's on 8.0, Watmore's on 7.9, and we've also got several other players on 7s. The lowest of the starting 11 for Millwall is Jake Cooper with 6.6. Okay, so let's go through and see who did what. Total shots 14 to 11. Got 2 for Langstaff, 2 for Honeyman, 3 for Nor. Not Nor. Where's the D gone? Brian with 2. So what more did a shot in that game? Turned the assist creator. Okay, so not bad. Like, to have 2 shots and then get a goal. SA even better. SA only had 1 shot and got 1 goal. Obviously, possession-wise, we didn't have the possession. We let them piss around with the ball at the back. We had 35% in possession. They had 64% in possession. And it was pretty even. Mostly with Ryan Lender on the ball. 4.6% of the match time possession was with him. But everyone else, not really. For them, it was Whiteman and Lindsay. 9.1 and 8.7. Pass success percentage. Saville 93, Watmore 91, Honeyman 88, Jensen 43, which is higher than it usually is. Dribbles 6 to 5. Aerials 1 16 to 25. So yeah, not winning any aerial duels up front. Obviously not with a big man up front. Langstaff, Honeyman, Saville, Watmore didn't win an aerial. Everyone else did, at least one, even SA. He's not the best in the air, to be fair. Tackles 14 to 22. So we didn't win the aerials and we didn't win the tackles. 14 to 22. Obviously they had to do more tackling, I believe, because we were doing the more attacking. So interested, Cooper didn't have a tackle. Corners 3 to 8. So these are the players that won the corners. And dispossessed 11 to 6. Okay. Now moving on to this, which is basically similar but in a different format. There's a few extra pieces as well. If we go to the player ratings, George Honeyman 8.03, got an assist, got a yellow card, got a goal. Macaulay Langstaff 7.99, which is not bad, because remember, so George Honeyman was on the pitch for longer than Macaulay Langstaff and Duncan Watmore and Romain SA, who all played less minutes than George Honeyman. So maybe if they were on the pitch for longer, they could have got a higher score and got themselves as the man of the match. because Langstaff was only on for 66 minutes. Got a goal and assist, that's not bad. 7.99 rating, second highest Millwall player. Duncan Moore 7.85 with an assist. Romain Esse 7.45 with a goal. Joe Bryan 7.44 got the yellow card, and Casper North hit the crossbar 7.16. And another player in sevens, again a player who didn't even play only played 75 minutes, 7.10, Ryan Leonard. And as we go down, again, Domo Maku, 9 touches of the ball, 4.71. And in fact, all of the substitutes are at the bottom, because obviously, which is how it should be, because they have less time on the pitch, they should get a less score. If you get a sub that comes on and gets a higher score than the player he's replaced, that suggests that that was a worthwhile substitution, because that player deserved to go off, because if he can be overtaken in score by a player who has less minutes on the pitch than him, he deserves to come off. So what are we looking at now? We look at shots and shots on target. So how many shots was it again? It was, let's go back. Oh no, it says it here, 14. It says 14 shots. How many were on target? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is good. That's the ratio. That's the golden ratio. However many shots you have, half of them should be on target, half of them should be goals. Exactly. 14 shots, 6 on target, 3 goals. That is premium. That is the best. That's the best. And by doing these videos over the last couple of seasons, this is what I've seen. When a team does this, they are outstanding, and this is what wins games. However, it can be like even less. Like if you have 4 shots, 2 shots on target, you get 1 goal. It's the same ratio, half and then half again. And this is what we got yesterday. Absolutely fantastic stuff there. So even like Ivanovic, like that would have been the cherry on the top if he come on and scored his first goal, but he didn't. Had 2 shots, 1 on target. Romain Esse, as we mentioned, 1 shot, 1 on target, 1 goal. Fantastic stuff. Joe Bryan, 2 shots, 2 on target. Not bad. Okay, so let's move on to... I'm going to have to refresh it. Was anyone offside? Because we know Langstaff, he's troubling, and they were trying to play offsides. So they were trying to play offside. They didn't get a single offside. Stop trying to play offsides. If you can't do it, stop fucking doing it. Like, why are they doing it? Not that I'm bothered, obviously it helped us win the game, but there you go. Defensive stuff. So we've already seen the tackles, but who had the interceptions? Who had the clearances? Who had the blocked shots? Joe Bryan, 4 tackles, then Tanganga, then Saville, then Honeyman. Again, Honeyman playing a number 10 role, but defensively. That's a different way to do it. Interceptions. Again, Joe Bryan at the top. Amazing what he can do when he gets a good night's sleep. 3 interceptions. Casper North with 3. Saville with 2. George Honeyman with 2. Clearances, Tanganga 6, Cooper 6, Bryan 5, Casper 3, Honeyman 3. Blocked shots, only 3 block shots. So there you go. Passing wise, passes, the most passes were from Ryan Leonard, 36, and then Denor 34, then Tanganga, then Saville. Not a lot of passes from us really. In terms of injuries, you sometimes see some players get up to 100 passes a game, but obviously they're all sideways about 5 yards, and what's the point in that? None. We don't do that at Millwall. That's not what we do. So if we go to this and see the passing accuracy, you've got to say George Saville at 28 passes, 92% accuracy. That's got to be the pick of the team there. Let's have a look at the goalkeeper if we can. Where is he at? Because obviously... So he had 23 passes, 17 long balls, so that would be 6 short balls. So 4 accurate long balls, so that bumped him up to 43.5% accuracy, when it's normally, generally for a keeper, around about 29% if for a keeper that takes long kicks. That's not bad. Not bad. I imagine. I wonder if those 4 long balls came after Ivanovic come on. I could probably check it by going to the thing, but I'd never really be bothered. So I think we're done with that. Let's move on to this and let's get some XG. I know you love your XG. So here's the XG from the game: 2.6 for Millwall and 0.9 for Preston. So that is exactly what was scored: 3 and 1. There you go. What can you do? Fantastic stuff. So here's the match events, and again here you can see. So if we go down the cards, 3 yellows and 1 red. 3 yellows, George Honeyman, Joe Bryan, and then 1 yellow for Adam Maku, and then a red card. So I'm pretty sure it's a straight red card. So possession, as we've seen, 36 to 64, passing accuracy 69 to 77. We had 328 passes, they had 572. Shots on target, 6 of 14 for us, 4 of 11 for them, so that's 43% to 36%. Saves, our keeper made 3 saves. Yeah, he did make some decent saves. 3 of 4, and their keeper made 3 of 6. So fouls committed, 16 to 10. Corners, 3 to 8. Crosses, 18 to 22. Touches of the ball, 453 to 661. Tackles, 15 to 21. Interceptions, 12 to 3. Obviously, because we're not passing it around tippy-tappy, and we're kind of playing it into space or running with the ball, they can't intercept it. Aerials, 1, 15 to 23. Clearances, 32 to 17. Offsides, 0 to 1, so they actually got offside once. Goal kicks, 8 to 8. Throw-ins, 21 to 17. And long balls, 70 to 72. So for all their passing and all their tippy-tappy, they had as many long balls as we had. In fact, they had 2 more. They had 72 long balls, and we had 70. That was worth it then, wasn't it? Here we go. Here are the players. So, having a look, what can we see? What did I want to show you? I want to show you shot creating actions, because that means basically players that are involved in creating shots, of course. You see it there. Offensive actions directly leading to a shot, such as passes, dribbles, and drawing fouls, right? So Duncan Woodmore got 6, and Joe Bryan got 4, Ryan Ender with 3, but obviously George Honeyman only 2, because obviously he's playing that number 10 role more defensively, more aggressively. He's not really getting on the ball and spraying it around and doing stuff like that. But from his shot creating actions, he got 1 that was a goal creating action, which we can go on there and you can see it right there. So, what carries of the ball? Carries of the ball. Number of times a player controlled the ball with their feet. Progressive carries. Carries that move the ball towards the goal line of the opposition at least 10 yards. So you can see Duncan Woodmore, 15 carries, only 4 were forward by 10 yards at least. Romain Esse, 24 and 3. So it doesn't look too good on that. But then when you go to this and you go carries here, you can actually see that the distance carried was a lot. So 15 carries of the ball for Duncan Woodmore, 110 yards in distance, progressive distance, as in going towards the opponent's goal line, 84 yards of 110 yards. Most of his thing was bombing forward. Romain Esse, 24 carries of the ball, 140 yards of distance, 86 was going forwards. And again, like I said, George Honeyman, not really, he's more of a linchpin, he's more of an attacker, breaking up the play. 19 carries of the ball, 106 yards of distance, 26 of that was forwards. So he's getting on the ball and sending it off for Watmore and others to run onto. In terms of, but when you go down to defenders, obviously defenders, they pick up the ball. If they pick up the ball from a ball over the top, and they obviously come forward with it. So you've got Tanganga, 20 carries, 95 yards, 46 progressive. Because obviously he can only really go forward with the ball. Like, he can't really go backwards. If he goes backwards, it's going to be a corner kick. And you see that for a lot of the they even like Jensen, like 77 yards, 33, you know. So, but what more? SA, fantastic stuff. What else did I want to show you? I wanted to show you, let's have a look at this. Aerial duels, obviously the little men up front, they're not winning the aerial duels, but when Ivanovic come on, he won 2 and he lost 5. Okay, Brian Leonard won 3, lost 2. Okay, so have a look at the goalkeeper, what he did in that game. Shots on target against 4, goals against 1, saves 3, that's a 75%. Post shot XG was 1.6. We'll look at that later when we look at the shots. Launched passes that were launched 17, completed 4. That's a 23% completion rate. And goal kicks 15. He didn't throw the ball out any times. 73.3% of his goal kicks were launched, and the average length was 44.5 yards. So he was pulling his kicks. He wasn't trying to get as far down the pitch as he could, which is, I think, around 60 yards. He's done that. He did that in one of the games before. I saw it. He was pulling it to get it at 44 yards. Goal kicks 8. Launched 75%. Average length for them was 47.9. Opposition's attempted crosses into the penalty area 20. How many did he stop? 1. So he came out for 1 cross, and that's a 5% stop rate. And his average distance from the goal line when he got on the ball was 6.3 yards. So didn't really get out of that, off of the goal line much. So here are the shots that we wanted to look at, and here you can see George Honeyman 0.96 XG, 0.99 after he got on the ball, because obviously he was 3 yards from the goal. He's 3 yards from the goal, got his right foot on it. That's even better than a penalty. A penalty is 0.8. So that was a nailed on goal. If he would have missed that one, he probably would have been shot leaving the ground. As you can see, but some of these other things. So one thing that we brought up before in terms of the opposition shots is that the XG and the post shot XG goes up by a lot. And that's because, in my opinion, the goalkeeper's position, maybe the defender's position, isn't too good. What this means is XG, expected goals, post-shot XG, is expected goals on how likely the goalkeeper is to save the shot. So basically, where the position the goalkeeper is and how likely he should save the shot. And you can see here. So what that means is, when you have a shot, if the goalkeeper's likely to save it, it won't go up or it'll go down. And you can see a Josh Boulder one, 0.05, 0.06. It's 15 yards out. It was a right foot shot. The one that got saved by Bots, 0.16, 0.16. The goalkeeper saved it. It didn't go up. But when you get to SA's goal, 0.29, taking a shot from that angle is a bit tricky. It's 9 yards out. It's a bit tricky at that angle. It goes up to 0.89. The goalkeeper should have saved that. Really. You should have done something. But didn't happen, did it? So if we go down to Macaulay Langstaff, 0.5 to 0.84, obviously it goes up. But here we go. So this is a good save. Why is this a good save? Osmajic, 0.25, 0.25 XG when the shot was taken, 0.62. So the XG went up, which meant but the keeper saved it. It was 10 yards out from a header. Jensen saved it, so that was a good save, because he saved the shot where the XG went higher after it was shot. So that is a good save. And because you can see a similar thing here with their goal from 6 yards out with the right foot, 0.19 was the XG before the shot, 0.78 for the post-shot XG. So that one was quite similar to that, but that one was actually a goal. So there you go. And I think we're going to end it. Oh no, I'm going to show you the table, which I forgot to show you the other day. But so we're going to take a look at the results from the league this weekend, this match day, whatever you call it, match day 7. No surprises really. I mean, Leeds beating Coventry, Middlesbrough beating Stoke, maybe Blackburn carrying on beating Queen's Park Rangers 2-0. Maybe West Brom, obviously, but that's an away game, so that's also always going to be tough. They did score 2 goals, but they conceded 3 and lost to Sheffield Wednesday. Burnley drawing at Oxford 0-0. That's an interesting result. Obviously, don't think Zion Fleming played in that game either. See, I'm sure we're going to find out about that in the loan watch, because for some reason Mill keep telling us how he's playing at Burnley, even though here is seemingly a sale that is just waiting to happen. Our opponents on Tuesday, Cardiff, I think they actually took the lead, did they not? They took the lead away at Hull, and then they ended up conceding 4 goals in response, losing 4-1. Sheffield United, they went to Portsmouth, they couldn't beat them. That was again a 0-0 draw. That was probably a bit of a surprise. And Watford beating Sunderland 2-1. So there you go. So this leaves, there are now only 2 unbeaten teams in the league. That's Blackburn and Sheffield United. 4 wins and 3 draws from both of them. West Brom are top of the table. Our opponents next Saturday. Will they still be top of the table after the midweek games? I don't know. We'll wait and see. Shall we have a look and see who everyone is playing midweek? So it's Burnley, Plymouth, Coventry, Blackburn, Luton, Oxford, QPR, Hull, Sunderland, Derby. That'll be a tough game. Norwich, Leeds. Again, that'll be a weird one. Cardiff, Millwall, West Brom versus Middlesbrough. So, and then on the Wednesday, it's going to be Stoke, Portsmouth, Preston, Watford, Sheffield United, Swansea, and Bristol City, Sheffield Wednesday. And that's for that round. And then these are the weekend's games. So yeah, West Brom versus Middlesbrough. So maybe they won't be top of the table. In terms of teams that are yet to win, we have 2. Portsmouth and Cardiff. Obviously the team that we're playing next, Cardiff. They've only scored 2 goals. One of them was in the game the other day, and another one was in the away draw at Swansea. They've only scored 2 goals. They've conceded 17, which is the most in the league. Millwall are 15th, scoring 12 goals, which is a lot of goals, because you have to go all the way up to 7th to find the next team that's got 12 goals. That's Watford, and then Leeds. And there are 3 teams that have scored more goals than us in the league: Blackburn, Sunderland, and Burnley. So there's only 3 teams in the league that have scored more goals than us. Hey ho. But we are sitting in 15th because we haven't got the results. But hopefully that's turned around now. But again, we point to the Saturday 3 p.m. Both of our wins that come home on Saturday 3 p.m. Is that going to be a problem? Is that going to be a problem? But as we go down, you can see the shots per game. Millwall third, 14.7 shots per game. Lovely stuff. And Duncan Watmore, now 3rd in the scoring charts. He's got 5 goals. He's been overtaken by Sands of Norwich. He's got 6, so he's got 5 of our 12 goals. That's 42%. And Duncan Watmore is... Wow, is he really? Duncan Watmore is the 5th highest rated player in the division so far after 7 games. In the whole division, all of the players, according to this website, number 5. He's the top 5, number 5. Because obviously he's got goals, he's got assists. His average rating in 7 games is 7.32, which is behind Madja of West Brom, Sir King of Sunderland, Mowat of West Bromwich Albion, and Arblaster of Sheffield United. Wow, well, there you go. And on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.